Welcome back, guys. It's Javier. If you're coming to Korea or you are teaching in Korea, you will meet students that have never seen an alphabet. Even if they're in high school, students that have studied for years, they still struggle to read basic words. Even when they can read, there's usually going to be a very large gap between your strong students and your weak students. So the question is, how can we fix this gap that's been developing for years? We need to teach phonics. And when I teach phonics, I'm focusing on 3 skills: romanization, blending, and segmenting. These are the core skills. And once they have these skills, reading completely changes for them. Romanization. This is something that I didn't intend to teach, but I kept on running into the same problems. First, the students, they couldn't write their names in Roman letters. And then second, they would see a word like Daegu or Seoul or Busan, and they would look at it and they would just be lost. And I'm thinking, like, this is just Korean. Like, why is this so tough for you guys? And so that's really what started my curiosity in learning and teaching romanization. And I think it's great because they already know a phonetic system, Hangul. And so what you're doing is you're bridging that gap to this Roman alphabet English phonetic system. And that really gives them some anchor that they're able to kind of conceptualize what the sounds are. Korea has 2 main romanization systems. One is older, it's called the Makun Haishawer, and it was created by 2 Americans. And then there is the current system, which is the revised romanization, and this is what the Korean government has come up with, and they pushed this out in the 1990s. But in practice, you will see both of these systems show up, and there's really no way to tell which system they're using unless you're already acquainted with this is this system or this is this system. So classic example is Daegu. Sometimes it's written with a T, sometimes it's written with a D. The D is the current version, the revised romanization, and then the T is the old version. The city that I lived in for 5-6 years, Yeongcheon, sometimes it's written like this, sometimes it's written like this. So there is just a bunch of confusion even among Koreans on how they're supposed to spell things when they use the Roman alphabet. And usually I have to teach the Korean English teachers the ins and outs of these systems and why you should use one or why you should use the other. And I think this is really a fault of the Korean government that they pushed this system out, but they really haven't emphasized it, because sometimes I'm driving down the road and I see them using one system for the street signs, another system for the street signs. Sometimes I'm out in the rural areas and they're using something that's neither of these systems, so I don't know what they got going on. But to add to the confusion, the last names are written under a convention system, which is the way that they've always been spelled. And sometimes it doesn't make any sense. Like the last name Im is written as Lim for some reason. The last name Beck is written as Park. And if you were to use the revised romanization, the name Kim would be written Gim, but nobody writes it like that. Everybody writes it with Kim. So whenever you're teaching the students on how to write their names, you have to give them these conventions so that they can write their last name in that kind of convention. And then the rest of their name, they're going to write with the revised romanization. So what do the students need to know? First, they need to know how to translate all the sounds in Hangul that they already know, all the consonants, all the vowels, into the Roman alphabet. And then they also need to know there's 4 consonants that have a kind of a variable system. So depending on where those consonants lie in the character, whether on the top or the bottom of the character, is going to determine on what they end up looking like. So if the Gyeom is on the top, for example, then it's going to be written as a G, but if the Gyeom is on the bottom, it's going to be written as a K. And so there's 4 of those. I'll put them on the screen right now for you guys. Once they know this information, they're pretty much able to handle everything besides the diphthongs. And the diphthongs I cover in a second class. Now, diphthongs are when the Korean system uses 2 vowels at the same time. And even though you're not going to teach this on the first go around, you should be familiar with this, because when the students go to write their names, they're going to have some of these diphthongs in there. So you're going to see a lot of wands, or you might see some guans. So you need to be able to tell them how to write this, because they're going to need to know how to write their names. After romanization, we're going to move into our main phonics skills, which is blending and segmenting. And blending is the ability to combine sounds. So you have a consonant, you have a vowel, those two are going to combine to make one syllable. And English is kind of tricky here, because English has about anywhere from 15 to 20 vowels, depending on what accents you're looking at. But we only have 5 vowel letters. So those 5 letters are doing a lot of work, and the patterns are not super obvious. When I first started teaching this, I tried to teach it in a very structured way. So for example, a short A, like a bat, hat, trap, is going to be consonant, vowel, consonant. And then a long A is going to be consonant A, consonant E, or consonant AI, consonant, or consonant AY. But what I found out was that the students really found this kind of like they're memorizing rules, and it felt really unnatural and really boring for them. So instead of teaching it like rules, I just started kind of like including these implicitly, and they started learning them more naturally. This organic way of learning them, just coming across them, was way better than trying to explain the vowel sounds to them. And I'll show you guys how I do that on the blending activities that I do. For consonants, I break these into 3 classes. The first class that I have is going to be the R sounds. That's going to be CR, BR, TR, PR, THR, etc. Second class is going to be the S sounds. So that's going to be the SW, SN, SM, SL, SPL, SPR. And then the third class that I do is going to be all the ones that I didn't get to cover. So that's going to be some of the L sounds like SL, FL, the CH sound, the QU sound, and then it's going to cover the C, because C has 2 sounds, has the K, hard K sound, and also has the S sound. This keeps things kind of structured so that it really doesn't overwhelm them. Last skill we have is segmenting. This is the ability to break words down into smaller sound units. And the way I teach this is very simple. Word like simple, for example, sim. I use that clap so that the students can physically feel where those breaks are, and then be able to chunk the words into different phonemes. And this is actually pretty hard for Koreans, because the Hangul system is very clear on where a word breaks, whereas English is a little bit more flexible with this. So you really have to be careful on which words you choose, because some words can be segmented in different ways. So you don't want to confuse the students. So pick words that are very clearly going to say, okay, this is where the break is. I usually run romanization in 2 separate classes. That first class, second class is for diphthongs, and phonics I run for 3 classes. But let's say that you're teaching elementary or very low levels, you could easily extend this out a little bit more. Or let's say that you think that this is too easy. Well, this is really just the beginning, right? And so actually I do teach phonics 4, 5, and 6, and that's a little bit more complex. That's kind of for my 2nd grade middle schoolers or 3rd grade middle schoolers, once they've done the initial ones, or if I were to teach high school. And those things, they cover the prefixes, the suffixes, and root words. And if you guys are interested, I could also do a video on those later. My lessons are usually going to follow the same pattern. First, I introduce these sounds, then I give them some example words to build some associations with those sounds, and then at the end we're going to have a large production activity, and that could be a simple dictation test, it could be kind of a board race where they have to write the word and put it up, or it could be some kind of blending game, which you guys will see in this lesson that I'm going to show you guys. So let's go over my second phonics lesson. And this start, I usually start with a dictation. And this is very, very unusual for me, because if you watch some of my other videos, you guys know that I push standing up. But here I wanted them to kind of try to spell the word first, and then they get the correct word later. they can see what their mistakes were. I thought having that learning experience was very important for them in this lesson. After that, I go into the segmenting. I help them out with the clapping, and then I have some exercises for them. Then we move into an activity that I call the 3-card draw. And there's many variations for this 3-card draw. This is a specific variation that I used for phonics. I have some cards that are in red, and these are going to be the consonant blends, and then I have some cards that are in blue, and these are going to be the vowel blends. So each student is going to get 3 cards to start. Usually what I do is I give all of one color to the boys and all of one color to the girls, because the red cards can only interact with a blue card, and blue cards can only interact with a red card. So that means if I separate them out, they have to interact with each other, because if not, they're just going to talk within their group. The boys are only going to talk to the boys, girls are only going to talk to the girls. So this is kind of a indirect way for me to get them to interact with each other. So the way that this works is I have my 3 cards, and I can go up to anybody in the classroom and I can challenge them. And then when I challenge them, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, and then we're both going to show the card at the same time. Because that person has a consonant blend and I have a vowel blend, we're going to be able to blend those 2 sounds together. So whoever says that sound first, they're going to be able to keep both of those cards. So you can run this a couple times if you have a time, but then at the end, let's say you give them 2-3 minutes, at the end we're going to count who has the most cards, and then that's going to be the winner. Now, after they did this, we're going to revisit the vocabulary. This time they're going to know what the correct spelling is, and I'm also going to have them draw some pictures so that they can reinforce that meaning. For the production activity, I'm going to use what I call a generator, and this is something that I made myself. In the future, I want to make this generator available to you guys. I just haven't prepared it for launch. So if you guys are interested in this, subscribe to my channel to know when it'll be ready. If you don't have this kind of generator, you could always just use flashcards, but having it digitally just makes the activity so much more engaging because it's just fast. So on one side of the screen, I have my generator, and on the other side, I have the bomb timer. And then the students take turn reading. So whoever the bomb lands on, that person is out. And I swear this works on every level. Like, you can do this with pre-K students, you can do this with 50-year-olds. Everybody loves this game. When I have a small class, I can have them kind of stand up in a line and they can just run through the line kind of in a circle. But when you have a larger class, you're not going to be able to have enough space for a very long line. So what I do is I just kind of have them stand up, and I just point at the students and I kind of go in a line so they know, okay, I'm going to be next. And then if the bomb lands on them, they have to sit down. But that way they're all just standing at their desks, and then if they get out, they just sit down. So guys, if you're asking yourself, should I really teach my high schoolers? Should I really teach my middle schoolers? Should I teach my elementary kids phonics? The answer is always yes. Having the foundation to spell and read any word is going to give students confidence that is going to far supersede just reading and just writing. So once the students understand how to connect those letters, they don't need to memorize each and every single word. The system itself is going to carry them through to any word that they encounter, and they're going to start being able to figure out things on their own. And that's really the goal. The goal is for them to do things on their own and for you not to be there to help them all the time, because reading just one word is not going to do it. You know, they need to be able to read any word that comes across, even if that's a word that they've never seen before. And so once that system is in place, reading, vocabulary, speaking, everything becomes so much more digestible for them. So listen, if you guys try this in class, let me know how it goes, and I'll see you on the next one.